Namaskar. I'm Harpreet Kaur and I welcome you all to our live and interactive session. You are watching this special webinar series of ours titled Listening to Learn, yani Sune or Seekhe. This series is brought to you by Department of Education in Science and Mathematics from NCERT New Delhi. Today we are in the 96th edition of our series and the topic that we have taken up is quite interesting and unique. This is developing a calendar. Well, we all are using these calendars, but do you know how it was developed, how it was created? And all over the world we follow different type of calendars. In India we follow different calendars. Some are lunar based calendars, some are solar based calendars. So how this evolution took place and how we actually landed up on modern days calendar, this is something that we are going to talk about today. We will learn from our expert today and much more. So the session is live and interactive, which means you can give us a call, you can message us and you can write an email to us. Right now you're watching us on PME Vidya channels 9, 10, 11 and 12 and also on our YouTube channel NCERT Official. If you want to give us a call, please take down our phone number, which is 880044 0559. You can also write an email to us and email ID is dth.class12@ciet.nic.in. Since we're streaming live on our YouTube handle NCERT Official, you can always go to the comment section, put in your questions there, all relevant questions, your experiences, feedback or any doubt that you might be having regarding the topic, and please feel free to connect with us. Well, this series of ours, Listening to Learn, is a wonderful series. We have invited some exceptional talent in our studios and we have conducted some fascinating and fantastic programs on different topics. If you want to watch our previous sessions, you can definitely log on to the link ncert.nic.in/webinar_series.php and there is entire treasure of wisdom out there. And now for today's session, the topic is developing a calendar. We have two eminent personalities with us and I'm going to introduce you all to the man behind this entire initiative and he will take this conversation forward with another special guest of ours. Let's welcome Dr. Gagan Gupta from DESM NCERT. Sir, namaskar and very warm welcome to the session.
नमस्कार हरप्रीत जी, नमस्कार दोस्तों। आज हम दिल्ली का मौसम बहुत अच्छा हो चला है, बसंत ऋतु का असर आने लगा है, दिल्ली बहुत अच्छा है। मैं उम्मीद करता हूं कि आप लोग भी अपनी जगह पर जहां भी हैं बिल्कुल कुशल से हैं और बहुत अच्छे से हैं। अपना ख्याल रखिए, मौसम बदल रहा है। दोस्तों, हमने 1 अगस्त 2021 से शुरू करके आज हम अपने 96वें पड़ाव पर है, 96 सेशन है, जैसा मेरी साथी हरप्रीत ने अभी बताया। इस बीच में हमने जो हेल्थ से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की, रॉकेट से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की, न्यूक्लियर एनर्जी से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की, बैटरी से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की। हमने आपको दिल की सैर कराई, हमने आपको फेफड़ों की सैर कराई, हमने आपको इस समय किस तरह से सुपर बग्स के साथ जिया जाए उस सब के साथ बात की। ट्यूबरक्लोसिस जो सबसे बड़ी महामारी इस समय मानी जाती है, उस सब के बारे में बात की। साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी से जुड़े हुए विभिन्न विषयों पर हमने बात की। हमने कई बार साहित्य से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर भी बात की कि आर्ट ऑफ लिसनिंग क्या है। हमने आपसे बात की कि किस तरह से आप पोइम को समझें, किसी कविता को किस तरह से समझें, किस तरह से आप अपने एरोस्पेस के बारे में बात की। यदा कदा हम साइंस एंड टेक्नोलॉजी के एरिया से बाहर निकले और हमने एंटरप्रेन्योरशिप पर बात की। आपको याद होगा कि हमारे साथ अलीना, मिट्टी कैफ़े के CEO, और पवन अग्रवाल भी यहाँ पर आए। हमने IRP के बारे में बात की, प्रोटेक्शन राइट्स के बारे में बात की। मेघा हमारे साथ थी। हमने समुद्र में काफ़ी दिनों तक रहे, हमने समुद्र से जुड़े हुए विषयों पर बात की, सुनामी के ऊपर बात की, इंडियन नेवी के ऊपर बात की। इनफैक्ट इंडियन नेवी के बाद विषय में हमारा पिछला सेशन होना था, वो हमें नहीं कर पाए, उसका हमें खेद है क्योंकि हमारे जो रिसोर्स पर्सन स्पीकर कलेश मोहन को चोट लग गई और वो उनको हॉस्पिटलाइज होना पड़ा। हम माफ़ी चाहते हैं, लेकिन बहुत जल्दी ही हम कलेश मोहनन को फिर से एक बार आपके सामने लाएंगे और आप सबके सामने इंडियन रॉयल नेवी का रोल क्या रहा है और इंडिपेंडेंस के टाइम पर किस तरह से हम इंडियन रॉयल नेवी, जो कि बाद में इंडियन नेवी हुआ, उसको हम बात करेंगे। आज हमारे साथ एक बहुत ही प्रख्यात स्पीकर हैं, बहुत ही प्रख्यात वैज्ञानिक हैं, प्रोफेसर जॉय सेन, जो कि इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी खड़गपुर से हैं। आपका स्वागत है प्रोफेसर सेन। आप हमारे इस शो में आने के लिए आपका बहुत बहुत धन्यवाद। और साथ ही मैं धन्यवाद ज्ञापित करना चाहता हूं इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी भारतीय प्रौद्योगिकी संस्थान खड़गपुर को भी, जहां से कि आज हमारा ये 5वां सेशन चल रहा है। मुझे पूरी उम्मीद है कि आगे आने वाले दिनों में भी हमें IIT खड़गपुर के साथियों और IIT खड़गपुर संस्था से हमें इसी तरह से सहयोग मिलता रहेगा। दोस्तों, आज इससे पहले कि मैं प्रोफेसर जॉय सेन से आपको दूं और प्रोफेसर जॉय सेन कैलेंडर के बारे में बात करें, जैसा कि मेरी साथी हरप्रीत ने शुरू में बताया कि कैलेंडर का सृजन किस तरह से होता है, आज हम इस चर्चा पर बात करेंगे। कैलेंडर को बनाते समय किस किस बातों का ध्यान रखना चाहिए, मैं आपकी मुलाकात थोड़ा सा कराना चाहता हूँ प्रोफेसर जॉय सेन से। जॉय सेन के सारे बारे में मैं बताना चाहता हूँ। साथियों, डॉक्टर जॉय सेन इज़ करेंटली द प्रोफेसर ऑफ डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ आर्किटेक्चर एंड रीजनल प्लानिंग at the Indian Institute of Technology Kharagpur. He has 27 years of teaching experience and 9 years of industrial experience. His master's degree are from the College of Design, Iowa State University, United States, where he received the ISU Best Thesis Award in 1989. Prior to ISU, that is Iowa State University, Professor Sen was the recipient of Institute Silver Medal, the Mansara Scholarship and the Best Thesis Mark from the Indian Institute of Technology Kharagpur in 1984. He has had the Exchange Student Award 1982 by Rotary International to Canada at the undergraduate level. With 11 years of professional and industrial experience, with over 25 real life large projects conceived and completed, Dr. Sen joined the Indian Institute of Technology Kharagpur in 1998 and completed his doctoral degree there. Professor Sen is the former and first founder chairman of the Center of Excellence for Indian Knowledge Systems, popularly called IKS, at the Indian Institute of Technology Kharagpur, which happened to be the first national IKS center in the nation. During 2014 to 17, Professor Sen was also the chairman of the Ranbir and Chitra Gupta School of Infrastructure and Design at Kharagpur. This is the first design school focusing on the nation's inclusive and social development infrastructure. Dr. Sen is also the former principal investigator of the Mega 19 projects on science and heritage initiatives at Kharagpur, that is for school and higher education both, funded by the Ministry of Education, Government of India. It was in collaboration with the Columbia University, United States and Georgia Institute of Technology, United States. Dr. Sen is the recipient of the prestigious G.S. Sanyal All-Round Faculty Excellence Award 2021 from the Indian Institute of Technology, United States of America Alumni Foundation, the Kansas Distinguished Speaker Award 2019 from the Quantum Group, which is run jointly by the Dayalbagh Educational Institute, Agra, the University of Michigan and Stanford University, United States. During the last 10 years, Dr. Sen has delivered talks at various national and international platforms, including the University of Tokyo, Kyoto University, Futs University, Massachusetts Institute of Technology, Iowa State University, Auroville Research Center, the Indian Institute of Architects, St. Xavier's University, Kolkata, NIPA, etc. Professor Sen is a great scholar and has so far guided 15 Ph.D. theses and published over 60 top Scopus and SCI journal papers. Six of his students have been conferred with the Best Paper Awards in various national and international workshops and conferences. Professor Sen has also authored 7 textbooks, inclusive of a book entitled Sustainable Urban Planning in 2011, which is published by the Energy Research Institute, New Delhi, popularly known as TERI, which has been earmarked as a top national bestseller and a textbook. His 5 children thrillers are published by the Ananda Publishing Private Limited, India. प्रोफेसर सेन, आपका एक बार फिर से स्वागत है और हम एक बार फिर से धन्यवाद देना चाहते हैं प्रोफेसर सेन को और इंडियन इंस्टीट्यूट ऑफ टेक्नोलॉजी खड़गपुर को। साथियों, आज के प्रोग्राम में प्रोफेसर सेन जो भी स्लाइड्स यूज़ करने वाले हैं, दे आर आइदर बिलोंगिंग टू प्रोफेसर सेन और टू IIT खड़गपुर और हैव बीन टेकन फ्रॉम द ओपन सोर्सेज. So if anybody wants to use those, they can use these slides, they can use this information, of course, with a reference to this text. And Professor Sen, thank you very much. Professor Sen, it's all yours now.
Namaskar, Dr. Gupta. Namaskar to all and everyone who are present here. A heartfelt thanks and gratitude from the mother of IIT system, Indian Institute of Technology, Kharagpur, and also from the whole fraternity of people who are dedicated with today's topic, which is developing a calendar. ये जो calendar, how a calendar is a very important element of education. How is it an important element for outreach, for dissemination, for propagation of thoughts, of processes, just not to the very high intellectual people, but how a calendar enters, the bedroom of ordinary people, ordinary men and women of India. कैसे कैलेंडर घुस जाते हैं भारत का कोने कोने में, हर घर में, हर दिशा में, हर स्थान में. So we found this calendar to be a very important element of outreach and dissemination in education. But it did not happen in a day. It took some time for us to realize that. So I'm very grateful to the National Council of Education, Research and Training, Ministry of Education, Government of India, to offer IIT Kharagpur a platform to showcase ये calendar का महात्मा, इसका significance, इसका importance क्या है आम जनता के लिए, खाली खास जनता के लिए नहीं है, आम जनता के लिए, for the ordinary people in the streets, for the women who are neglected, for the little child who never gets an access to education, how a calendar can enter his or her life. So to do this, there is a small presentation which you are witnessing, and the presentation roughly has 3 parts. ये 3 भागों में इसका discussion आगे बढ़ेंगे. First, a required backdrop. Why we chose a calendar? Calendar किधर से आया है? Why calendar was chosen as a unit of outreach and dissemination? उसका बाद में पूरा बहुत discussion हम लोग करेंगे. The process का क्या क्रिया था? What was the process? How it was done? And what was the content of this calendar? How the calendar became a national impulse. It had sent ripples across the country to institutes, to organizations, to associations, to bodies, and there were acceptances, there were debates, there were arguments. It sparked national debate. It brought out many truth. बहुत सत्य था, उसको suppress करके हम लोग रखे हैं for hundreds of years. So they all came out. So the calendar became a vehicle of outreach and dissemination. It gave us an opportunity to reach the aam janta. It gave us an opportunity to reach the common man and women. And most important of all, it gave us an opportunity to reach the future of India, the children. You can see a children holding our 2023 ICAS calendar. By ICAS, हम लोग ये सोचते हैं भारतीय ज्ञान प्रणाली और उसका परंपरा, इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम. पहले हम लोग बोलते थे इंडोलॉजी, इंडिक स्टडीज, इंडियन हेरिटेज. टुडे इट इज पॉपुलरली एंड फॉर्मली नोन एज इंडियन नॉलेज सिस्टम्स. और फाइनली we'll have some discussions on the future imperatives of what we should do with regard to a calendar. So what are the predictive futures of a calendar? आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस में हम लोग बोलते हैं कि आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस का 2 तरीका है. एक है हम जो करते हैं बेस्ड ऑन द प्रेजेंट एंड द पास्ट डेटा, वो हम प्रेडिक्ट करते हैं. एंड अनदर इज जनरेटेड पाथ. हम लोग ऑल्टरनेटिव फ्यूचर्स, ऑल्टरनेटिव आइडियाज, ऑप्शंस हम लोग करते हैं. सो कैलेंडर बनाने का जो तरीका है राइट फ्रॉम डे वन, बिकॉज इंडिया इज द मदर ऑफ मैथमेटिक्स, एस्ट्रोनॉमी, ज्योतिष विज्ञान, पोजिशनल एस्ट्रोनॉमी, navigational science, marine science. India has contributed to the world maximum in mathematics, analytical science, astronomy. जो हम लोग को आया है वेदांग ज्योतिष से, right from the Vedic age. Veda, Vedanta, Vedanga. Ved are the 4 Vedas, Vedanta are the Upanishads, and Vedangas are the Shara Vedangas. उसमें कल्प है, निरुक्त है, छंद है, ज्योतिष है. और कल्प में जो कल्प सूत्र है, from there the mathematical and the astronomical and all the territorial archaeoastronomical knowledge has all evolved. But क्या हुआ? In the passage of time, all this got suppressed. Somehow we lost connection with our past. And हम लोग को मन में ऐसा एक आइडिया आ गया जो सब कुछ बाहर से ही आ रहा है. We are all westernized, we are following all the modern things which are coming from the West. There is nothing wrong with it. But first, we should be an Indian, ek Bharatiya, local. First, we should be local, and then we should be global. So this was the background to develop a calendar. So I'll start the presentation, and there'll be a lot of visuals in these presentations, and somehow the visuals are more important than the text. So आप लोग visual में देखिए जो कितना काम IIT खड़गपुर में हुआ in the last 20 years. I've been working on this area for about the last 30 years or so. I'm a faculty at IIT Kharagpur for about 27 years. But my journey in Indology and Indic sciences, though I'm an architect and a regional and urban planner, actually started in 1988 when I was a master's student at Iowa State University in the United States of America. Udhar mein, one of my professor actually baptized me to talk about India, think about India, read the books of Sarvapalli Radhakrishnan, read the books of Swami Vivekananda, read the books of Sri Aurobindo, read the books of Paramhamsa Yogananda ji, and so on and so on. So let's move on. Let's see the story of how to develop a calendar. So between 1999 to 2020, a lot of opportunities came, as Dr. Gagan Gupta very kindly said. So around 2013, a big opportunity came to the IIT system, and IIT Kharagpur was selected to coordinate a very large initiative called the Science and Heritage Initiative, Sandhi, SANDHI. Sandhi का माने ये है विज्ञान और संस्कृति का एक संधि, एक मेल बंधन. वो जो दो अलग चीज है, एक लेफ्ट ब्रेन थिंकिंग, एनालिटिकल थिंकिंग जो विज्ञान का जगत है, और जो हेरिटेज संस्कृति का, कृष्टि का, आध्यात्मिकता का, धर्म का जो वर्ल्ड है, जो राइट ब्रेन थिंकिंग, ये दोनों वर्ल्ड हाउ कैन इट कम टुगेदर, हाउ दे शुड कम टुगेदर, हु हैज सेड दैट दे शुड कम टुगेदर. सो इसका जो एक्सप्लोरेशन, इसका जो अनुसंधान, that was the Science and Heritage Initiative, and it was awarded to Kharagpur, and I am very grateful to the government of India, but that for some reason which I don't know, I was asked to principally coordinate the mega project called Sandhi. And in IIT Kharagpur, we had about 19 projects, and there are also other projects in IIT Kanpur, IIT Bombay, and also one or two projects in IIT Delhi. And today, it has become a national imperative. Sub IIT mein, sub NIT mein, all the things, all the institutes are working on the extension of Sandhi. So इसमें ज़्यादा साफल्य, lot of achievements and successes have come. अब जो नीचे देख रहा है, these are the international कोलकाता बुक फेयर का चित्र. So हम लोग क्या किया? All the text and the publication that we had, we actually published them in the book fair. So book fair में क्या होता है? आम जनता होता है. आम जनता में कौन होता है? आम आदमी होता है, साधारण आदमी, सब लोग आता है. So at very small prices and somewhere even free, IIT Kharagpur had outreached and disseminated the whole platform of Sandhi's dissemination on meditation, on Dana, on Varanasi, on Sangeet, on iconography, on arts, on Shilpa, the creative industries, to the whole mass. So as a result, we became more aware of our own country. भारत का परिचय हम लोग का सामने आ गया. पहले तो we did not know much about India. We are only going towards the west. चलो विदेश में चलो. But after the Sandhi, there was a resurgence. उल्टा एक क्रम आ गया, उल्टा एक दिशा आ गया. बाहर में तो हम लोग जरूर जाएंगे, लेकिन पहले भारतीय होना चाहिए. उसका बाद we should be globalized. First local, second we are global. So ये संधि में we had a huge dissemination. So क्या होता है? Right from 1999, I had a small fascination, I had a passion to do some exhibitions. So आप लोग जो देख रहे हैं, these are the exhibitions which happened in the year 1999, 2000, 2001. And then I realized that exhibition, pradarshani, is a very important medium to take the average intellectual information through art, through panels to the very average mass. So you can see the exhibition which first happened in Kolkata, and on the left you can see it happened in India Habitat Center, in the India Habitat Center National Gallery, and you can see architect Achyut P. Kanvinde, who was one of the founders of the School of Planning Architecture, New Delhi. जो उस टाइम में it was known as Delhi Polytechnic in Indraprastha state. So he was one of the father figures. He actually came and saw the exhibition. So that time I was mostly doing some hands work with my students. It was not digital, nothing was typed, it was all artistic. And Kanvinder साहब आया बोला है जब मेरा तो ज़्यादा टाइम नहीं है 5-10 मिनट, so 10-15 मिनट में Joy, you just give me an explanation. And do you know what happened? Do you know what happened? He remained with us for the next 2.5 hours. He got so interested that he was absolutely involved with the exhibition. And then in the end of the exhibition, he said, Joy, this is a very nice and important thing. And I think you must take out these things to a larger dissemination and public outreach. आपका कोई तरीका, कोई process, कोई opportunity देखना है, सोचना है. So he gave us the first idea of public outreach. I am grateful to architect Achyut P. Kanvinde, who has almost designed about half of IIT Kharagpur. And incidentally, he was also the guru of my father, late architect Joy Sen, who was from the 6th batch of Delhi Polytechnic, which is known as SPA Delhi right now. So I belong to Delhi. My first inspirations came from Delhi, and NCERT is located in Delhi. And I am also the student of Central Board. So I picked up the first books of NCERT physics book, chemistry book, mathematics book. And today I am talking in an NCERT platform. So ये तो पूरा homecoming हो गया. I am speaking in a platform which is not alien. ये मेरा ही एक संबंध एक पूरा सहवस्थान है जिसमें हम have again come back to speak about my exhibition. So exhibitions became a very important backdrop, and it went on further, and then it became very popular. So here you can see some more exhibitions which happened in the next 2, 3, 4, 5 years, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004. So if you see on the left, बाएं का तरफ आप देखें, Swami Smarananda ji, Vice President of Ramakrishna Mission, Belur Math, he came and saw one of the exhibitions. And that was the dialogue between Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore and Sir Albert Einstein about the role of consciousness, Chaitanya, ये जगत का interpretation के लिए. Because consciousness is a very important thing through which the whole world is interpreted. So this is actually the foundation of quantum sciences today. Because if the consciousness is not there, if the human consciousness is not there, then who is going to interpret the world? Who makes science? Who makes arts? I mean, a dog or a cow or an animal world cannot make that. So the objective world actually does not exist. It exists only on the consciousness world. So we did all that through an exhibition, and Smarananda ji Maharaj, he gave us blessing and he said that Joy, you must go forward. And in next year, I think, Sri Jagmohan ji, Union Minister of Culture, he became a witness to our exhibition in Kolkata. This was at the Ramakrishna Mission Institute of Culture, Gol Park, Kolkata. So we got a lot of inspiration from these great people. And I think Jagmohan Saab was a great writer in those days, about 20-25 years back. He used to write regularly in Times of India and mostly in Statesman and India Today and many other things. So he came and saw our exhibition ekdam detail mein, and he went through each and every panel and he said, Joy, this is very important. Writing a book is important, but this is more important. Publishing a journal paper is important, but this is even more important. Talking in a seminar is important, but this I think is far more important. So he told me all these things, that why it is so important. So we got inspired. Pura anuprerana aa gaya. So বাংলা में हम लोग बोलते हैं যে আমরা তখন আনন্দে ভেসে গেছিলাম, পুরো আনন্দ হয়ে গিয়া. In Indian philosophy, everything comes from ananda, everything floats in ananda, and everything goes back to ananda. So ananda sarupa is a whole combination of Indian philosophy. That is the Upanishad, the Taittiriya Upanishad. So we went on, and then finally after 2-3 years, in 2005 or 6, I think, Dr. Murali Mohan Joshi, the Union Minister of Human Resource Development, a Ph.D. and a PDF scholar in physics and a great publisher by his own right, And also our MHRD minister, he finally came and saw our exhibition. So I was so lucky to have Dr. Joshi, with us for almost like 45 minutes. And this was a topic which at that point of time everybody laughed at us, but Dr. Joshi did not laugh. This was the connection between India's concepts of human consciousness and artificial intelligence. Can you imagine, about 18 years back, 15 years back, we are actually doing an exhibition on artificial intelligence. And Dr. Joshi blessed us and he said, I think you have done the initial work, but इसका बाद में और कुछ काम करना है, और आगे जाना है, आप लोग सब ये कीजिए. So when you hear such a thing from the Minister of Education, Government of India, from the Ministry of Education, there is nothing else that you are expecting. You get inspired. So Dr. Munir Mohan Joshi was one of the first person in a true fashion who gave us a pat and he said, ये एकदम ठीक रास्ता है, but you need to work more and you need to find out ways and means through which you can disseminate. So we went on. And then finally we had these exhibitions which happened at the Indian Council of Cultural Relations at 2015, and then in 2016 a lot of people came from all over the world, like the Consulate General of Russia. So this slide jo aap dekh rahe hai, you can see this was the first time we opened up to the school children's. In fact, we are doing the objectives of what NCERT is doing at the national, regional and the local level. And this became very successful. So between 2015, 2016 and 17, hundreds and hundreds of students poured in to the ICCR exhibition gallery in Kolkata, which is just opposite to the US consulate. And then we had many publications which are also produced. And everywhere we got a full-blown blast, a samarthan, okay, ekdam sab theek hai, aap log theek disha mein kaam kar rahe hai, and you should move on. And we felt that publishing papers and writing books and giving exams are not the only thing in education. The more important thing is the path of Mahamana Madan Mohan Malviya ji and Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore, who says education remains with nature, under the nature, by the nature and of the nature. So you have to reach the heart. As Swami Vivekananda said, education is the manifestation of the perfection that is already inside the human being. So the human being already carries the education inside. Oh, guru ka, teacher ka kaam kya hai? You just go and inspire a student and just put him on the course. The rest of the things he or she will do, because wo andar ka baat hai, wo apna se hi andar se nikal jayega. So this is explained in our Upanishads, this is explained in our Sharavedangas, and this is actually the foundation of Indian culture, the famous book by Sri Aurobindo, The Foundations of Indian Culture. So slowly the ideas of Indian knowledge systems were coming out, and still it was about to take up a big shape. And then there was a turning point. It was February 22, 2016. We got the huge project at Varanasi, which was Project Varanasi under the Science and Heritage Initiative. And then we suddenly heard that in the BHU convocation, we are requested to make an exhibition which will be visited by no one else but most revered, esteemed Sri Narendra Modi ji. And we are absolutely inspired. And we are told that आप लोग को 2 minute time दे रहा है. 2 minute में आप लोग काम कीजिए. And then Smriti ji was there, Dr. Karan Singh was there, and just behind me you can see Dr. Rajiv Sangal, who was the director of IIT BHU. But then Modi ji came, and Karan Singh साहब पहले ही आया था, वो देख के मोदी जी को बताया, सर आप जो बोल रहे हैं, आप जो सोच रहे हैं, IIT खड़गपुर और IIT BHU वही दिशा में काफी काम किया, आप देखिए. And then Modi ji was with us for 23 minutes. So 2 minutes became 23 minutes. 23 minutes. 23 minutes with the Prime Minister of India is not a matter of joke. And we are absolutely elated. He went through all the panels, he took all the books, and he carried all our publications to the Prime Minister's office. And and as we finished the discussion, he just came close to me. I will still remember that moment. He just came close to me and he gave a pat He gave a pat on my back and he turned back at Dr. Karan Singh Saab, who is an authority in Indian knowledge system. He is also an authority on Sri Aurobindo. And he said, Singh Saab, thik kaam ho raha hai, aage badhiye. So we are absolutely inspired. And then we felt something more needs to be done. So the next picture goes a little farther. You can see even Dr. Rajiv Sangal, Professor Dr. Rajiv Sangal, former director IIT BHU, he is also talking to Modi ji. And it was very inspiring. And then we kept on producing. And then we had exhibitions in the India International Center, Lodhi Road in Delhi. So in the top picture, by taraf, you can see Sri Sanjeev Sanyal, who is one of the financial advisors to the PMO. And just next to him, you can see Arjun Malhotra. He's one of the most illustrious alumnus of IIT Kharagpur, who has donated $1 million to IIT Kharagpur and has initiated the G.S. Shannal School of Telecommunications in his guru's name. So with their inspirations, and you can see another person, Dr. Harimohan Pillai, who is about 10 years senior to me. So he also came and gave me a backup. Our team became big. It became huge. Niche mein you can also see one of my other scholar, Dr. Tanima Bhattacharya, who is a faculty in Bharati University. So all our students are all over India right now. And then we felt, khali exhibition banane se nahi hoga, aur kuch karna chahiye. We have to find out a way by which we can reach the big mass. And then we started making galleries of Indian knowledge systems. So this is from one of the galleries of Indian knowledge systems. This is just prior to COVID-19, 2018 and 19. And we went deep into the history of Indian knowledge system. You know, the historical journey of Swami Vivekananda and Sir Jamshedji Tata from Yokohama to Vancouver. And then Swami Vivekananda becoming world famous and meeting electrician and great scientist Nikola Tesla, meeting Max Muller in London in 1896. And then Einstein meeting Rabindranath in 1930. And then Heisenberg a year before coming to Kolkata to meet Gurudev Rabindranath Tagore to talk about the connection between quantum sciences and Indian knowledge system, between left brain thinking and right brain thinking, between analytics and intuitive, between discrete variables and random variables, between physics and music, between mathematics and astronomy, between rhythm, science of proportions and rhythms with the science of meditations and cognition. So this is the foundation of Indian knowledge systems. And for that we have to go back to 1901 when Bal Gangadhar Lokmanya Tilak ji came to Belur Math to discuss with Swamiji to open up a center for Indology in the Lokmanya Tilak Sahab and Swami Vivekananda. So this is actually very, very important. This is actually very, very important that we should understand. And then in 1952, it went to California. It was taken by Haridas Chaudhary. So then we thought all this must be discussed and put forward in galleries. So this became our first gallery of Indian knowledge system. 2020 we came up, and then we felt just not galleries, but something more needs to be done. And this is the time Mananiya Dharmendra Pradhan ji came to IIT Kharagpur to see our exhibition, and he inspired us, and he was so happy, and he said more research, more exploration needs to be done. And then next year, Mananiya Vice President of India, Sri Jagjit Dhankar Saab, came to IIT Kharagpur, and he was with us for 4 hours, and he went through all the panels, and he said, Joy, and he said, my other colleagues also, काम करना है, कुछ दिखाना है पूरा जगत को, कुछ कीजिए which will reach the whole mass. And that took us to the idea of a calendar. And there are also people from the Consulate General, Miss Melinda Pavik, she came, the French consulate people, they came. And finally it went to other institutes of India. So finally in Auroville, we had a summit on Indian knowledge systems and the making of the calendar. It became a popular thing. And then we decided a calendar will become a very important thing. So the calendars were produced one after another, 2021, 2022, 2023, so on. And then great experts like Dr. Bhushan Patwardhanji, he came and he was so inspired with a calendar that he took copies of calendar. DRDO, the Department of Defense, ordered thousands of calendars to be disseminated amongst the armies of India, the navies of India, among the Air Force generals of India. Then in Ramakrishna Mission, there was a huge conference on our calendar. So one of our Professor Pallav Banerjee, he steered this whole thing, and I was asked to speak on how we make the calendar. And it just went on. So, and then there were experts and systems validation. There were hundreds of articles in different, Sangbad Patrikas and everything. So Dr. Vedveer Arya, who is from the Defense Ministry, he wrote on our calendar. And there was an international conference, and there was also a particular coverage from the IIT system, which had put forward the calendar itself. And then finally, there was an overseas students from Purdue, Japan, Princeton, California, MIT, Imperial College. They had made 2 hours YouTube session, and they asked me to talk on how a calendar can actually change Indian history. So then we felt the calendar is not a very simple thing. It is a thing which can move the mass. It can give you a dhamaka. And the dhamaka is not an invasion. It's actually a token of love, a token of concern, a token of involvement. So we just went on. So these are the first 2 calendars. So this is the 2021 calendar on the left and the 2022 calendar on the right. So the 2021 calendar was actually introduced, and that year I became the chairperson of the museum and also the Center of Excellence Indian Knowledge System. And we produced the first calendar in 2021, which introduced all the great experts like Albert Einstein, like A.L. Basham, like James Grant Duff, like Will Durant, talking about the various attributes. भारत का ज्ञान प्रणाली का जो हर एक संदर्शन है, वैचित्र डोमेन है, लेकिन बहुधा जो है वो एक ही है. ऋग्वेद में बोलता है एकम सद्विप्रा बहुधा वदन्ति. सत्य एक ही है, लेकिन उसका प्रकाश, उसका जो दिशा, उसका जो तरीका आगे जाने का लिए जो दिशा, वो बहु है, वैचित्र है. लेकिन वैचित्र में बहुधर विषा में एकता का जो अंतर्निहित संधिधान है, this has been pointed out by the great people around the world, like Roma Lola, a Nobel laureate, like Alice Bonner, who was the friend of Pandit Uday Shankar, the brother of legendary Pandit Ravi Shankar. And her gallery is there in PHU Kala Bhavan. So we just brought these informations on a calendar. You just imagine the calendar was reaching to different parts of India with all this information, and Sab Admi for the first time came to know about their country, and we went on, and then we got a confidence, and next year 2022 we felt we must come out with a much bigger thing, and we turned back to a very important thing and prove that the Aryan invasion में आर्य लोग जो बाहर से भारत में आया है वो सत्य नहीं है, उसका प्रमाण देना चाहिए, because our history books, our education books, our chronological books are all filled up with mistakes from the colonial times and from different political ideological history. वो सब ठीक करना है. So we did a lot of research, and then we showed the चक्रवत जो संभावना है काल चक्र का, वो भारत का संदर्शन है, नॉन लीनियर साइक्लिक, वो बाहर से नहीं आया है, बाहर में तो लीनियर प्रोग्रामिंग है. देन लॉज ऑफ स्पेस टाइम एंड कॉजेशन, वो भारत का एक अपना का चिंतन है, भारत माता का जो विधान, बिकॉज इन यूरोप इट इज ऑल द कंट्री एज द फादर, द फादरलैंड. सो आर्य लोग बाहर से आने का तरीका वो असत्य है. Why? Because they did not bring with them the ideas of the sacred feminine. So ideas like this, top 10 ideas non-linear flows. The Indus Valley civilization we proved to be a part of the Vedic civilization. The Vedic civilization is even older. So Sapta Matrika, ab jo dekh rahe hai दाहिने तरफ, double unicorn or Ashwatha, Purushottam Stotra Gita ka Urdhamulam Adhashakam Prahurabhayam Ashwatham. So this is portrayed in the Indus Valley Civ, which shows that the Indus Valley civilization was a part of the Vedic civilization. Niche mein unicorn seal mein aap dekh rahe hai Shararitu, the six-spoke wheel going round and round and round. And now 6 seasons is only a property of the Indian subcontinent. So we went into the detail and reproduced this calendar, and we finally proved and said that the Aryan invasion is actually an error. In the words of Sri Aurobindo, it's a widely popularized error. It's not only an error, it's popularized. It's not only popularized, it's a widely popularized error. And this Aryan invasion myth has disturbed Europe and has created the world wars, anti-Semitism, and abhi ye problem chal raha hai Europe mein. And this must be erased from humanity. This must be erased from all history. And the calendar became a heartthrob. So by mid-2022, IIT Kharagpur's name went all over the nation and across the world. And the next 2 years, 2023 particularly, and 2024, we made calendars which focused on the deep connections between Indian knowledge systems and modern science. So this is a slide on the 2023 calendars. Aap dekhiye, 1893 mein, when Swami Vivekananda became world famous, the top people who came to meet him were Nicholas Tesla, a scientist, Hermann Helmholtz, a scientist, Lord Kelvin, electrical scientists. So this is actually the foundation of 2023 calendar. And then the 2024 calendar, we walked on Sri Aurobindo's theme, India of the Ages. And by that time, I left the Center of Indian Knowledge Systems at IIT Kharagpur as a chairperson. And the new generation is still continuing with the idea of producing a calendar. And today, the calendar has become an idea of the whole world. It is the foundation of education which can reach the common mass, the Aam Janta. And it has the future imperative where it combines the left brain thinking of analytics, machines and mathematics with the right brain thinking of holism, history, meditation, yoga and music. So the focus is on the integration of the two brains. This is the 1981 Nobel Prize by Roger Wolcott Sperry. And this is also the foundation of the National Educational Policy 2020. And this is also the foundation of the National Curriculum Framework 2022-23. So the calendar became a lifeline of the future. A book can go up to the library, but the calendar enters the living room. A journal paper will only go to the academia, but the calendar will enter a school. A huge lecture will happen in an air-conditioned auditorium, but a calendar will go to the market. Ek chai ka dukan mein bhi chala jayega, where a helpless lady from a village will also have a look at the calendar. So the future of the calendar as a unit of outreach and dissemination is super. It's great. It's absolutely super. And this is what we have started. We have just humbly initiated the production of the calendar, and there is more to be done for the future of the calendar. So I'll end with the saying of one of the greatest scientists of century, Werner Heisenberg, where he says it is probably true quite generally that in the history of human thinking, the most fruitful developments frequently take place at those points where two different lines of thought meets. So the calendar is a combination with the two different lines of analytics and intuition, of left brain thinking and right brain thinking, and doing the middle path thinking, the Saraswat sadhana, the yoga, the meditation of India becomes a lifeline of future India's policy. So the calendar has become a vehicle, a gaadi, चलती का नाम गाड़ी जो भारत तथा विश्व का कोने कोने में चला गया from IIT Kharagpur, and now there are hundreds of other institutes who are also producing calendar. So that way we finally pay our thanks to Almighty Supreme, to Mother Abdya Shakti, for giving us the power and the leverage to work on a theme which we actually don't deserve, but we have got an opportunity to serve our nation just through a simple, small thing, Kalantara, Sanskrit word, which has become a Latin word, calendara. Even the two words are the same. Thank you. Namaskar, Dr. Gupta. I hope I could make my point.
Yes, thank you very
you so
much.
much, sir.
Thank you very much. We are so mesmerized listening you, डॉक्टर साहब. आपने बहुत सारी चीज़ें बताई और यस आपने बिल्कुल सही बताया कि लोकल से ग्लोबल होना है. वेद वेदांत वेदांग से आपने स्टार्ट किया एंड ऑफ कोर्स थैंक्स बैक होम. You are part of us. As you said in the beginning that you are a part of NCERT system itself. You are always a part of NCERT system. Being in education, so you are always a part of our discourse at NCERT for school education as well, though you are in higher education. Now please allow me to have some questions, because that questions which I have received through emails or some other media. The first question seems to be around the development of the calendar, from where it started. We know about the Julian calendar, we know about the Roman calendar, we know about the Hindu calendar, we know about the Georgian calendar, which is one among the most common kind of calendar. So first, when the calendar was first made and how it was conceived, the idea of developing a calendar conceived when and how, and then how these calendars are different. Professor Sen.
That is a very important question, because there are different forms of calendars, and different forms of calendars are based on either solar, Surya Siddhant, or lunar, which is the Islamic calendar, the Arabic calendar. But very rarely, Dr. Gupta, there's a combination of both the sun and the moon together.
Lunisolar.
The Indian almanac, the Indian sidereal zodiac system is based on both Chandra and Surya. The Surya Siddhanta gives us the Rashi. Rashi means decentralization, Khetra. So the rays of the sun are going all over the universe. And the Chandra Siddhanta, the moon, gives us Nah Rashi, Nah Kshetra. So that's why we call Nakshatra. So
yes.
you see right in the beginning of Indian calendar, we have the complementarity or the combination of the forces of decentralization and the forces of decentralization. The centrifugal and the centripetal forces are the symbol of Chandra and Surya. If you go to Sagar Sangam and look at the bust of Kapil Muni sitting there as one of the greatest sages, on left and right you will see a Chandra and the Surya. So India, right from Vedanta Jyotisha, right from day one, had the comprehensive system of calendar, which the Gregorian or the Western calendar, which is predominantly a solar calendar, or the Arabic or the Islamic calendar, which is predominantly a lunar calendar, falls short of. It is India which has produced a comprehensive system of calendar, and this was developed in the Vedic ages by great people like Parashuram Samhita, and especially by Bhrigu and Parashar, which is the Jyotish Shastra and the Kalpasutra. And much later, it was developed by the great stalwarts like Aryabhatta, Bhaskaracharya, Brahmagupta, Barahamihir. Barahamihir actually was in eastern India. He belonged to a place which is very close to Kolkata. Kolkatar khub kache ekta jayega. So, some of the people of eastern India will like this. Sure. And as of now, the making of the calendar has become a part of the positional astronomy, which is called the archaeoastronomy, which is the third revolution. That means the Earth का जो axis है, वो galactic north का ऊपर ध्यान रख के it turns around. It takes about 26,600 years to come back to our original position.
Yes.
So आप आज रात में जो sky dome का picture देखेंगे, if you want to see it again, you have to wait for 26,660 years. So this is called the precession of the equinox. So Rigved में आप एक सूत्र में ऋषि आत्रेय सुबह में he is doing the Dhyana Sangam and he's showing the Ashwini Nakshatra coming up in the horizon. It shows, and when that data is fed into the TIFR software by Professor Valia and also by one of our former director, Professor Amitabh Ghosh, he has a book called The Descriptive archaeoastronomy, then that sutra says that that conjunction of star in the eastern horizon of Ashwini Nakshatra at a particular thing is dated back to 8500 BC, which means the middle portion of the Rig Veda, just mind it, the middle portion of the Rig Veda, the Atreya, not Atri Muni, the middle portion of the Rig Veda is 8500 BC. That means the age of Atri Muni, Bhrigu Muni, Vashishta, Vishwamitra, the Saptarshi Juk is thousands of years prior to that. So by virtue of mathematics, positional astronomy and archaeoastronomy, our calendrical system has become so important. आप देखिए ना अभी महाकुंभ स्नान चल रहा है, प्रयाग में, and today it has been proved जो सूर्य सिद्धांत में हजारों साल पहले उसका सिद्धांत कंप्यूटेशन का पूरा विधान were present. It is so true and it is proved by modern computational archaeoastronomical systems of today. So Bharat was perfected in positional astronomy and cosmic mathematics and archaeoastronomy for thousands and thousands of years. The calendar is only a representation of that huge truth.
True, very true, Dr. Saab. But at the same time, if we see the pure Hindi calendar,
yes,
for example, or Bangla calendar, this appear to be mostly lunar, not exactly what the Arabic calendars are, but the present calendars which we see in India, which you are talking about, they have the way we see the solar calendar has 30 to 31 days in a month. The lunar calendar has 29 to 30 days in a month, and then this lunisolar, where our most of the Indian calendar works, are correcting it themselves after every 3 years. So what we call the Laund ka Mahina, या एक अधिक मास, after every 3 years. Malmas, yes, you are right. So ये idea कब लगभग कितना पुराना है हमारे calendar system में?
Yeah, this is roughly, as far as written history goes, ये पुराना about 2000 years. This is the time of San Gayappa, and this is the time most of the things happened in eastern India, integrated Bihar, Bengal, Orissa, and that time the civilization was mostly there because of Bauddha Dharma, Magadha and everything. So the seat of learning and intellectual learning in India was mostly there. So
yes,
that is the time the calendrical system was again reorganized. It was again reorganized. And the beautiful thing are the two pakshas, the Shukla Paksha and the Krishna Paksha of lunar calendar, which adjusts with the solar 12 sidereal zodiac. That does not happen in an Islamic calendar, because that's why the Islamic dates keeps on shifting and it turns back. But Indian calendar is perfected in approximating, calibrating and correcting it to the original position,
So it is evident from this that it was much before the Julian calendar, which came up around 46 BC, that is around 2000 years, 2050 years back, nearly. So, and probably the Julian calendar was the first which added 1 year, which added the concept of leap year or so.
Yes.
Is it right, sir?
Yeah, absolutely right. And today a big discovery has come up on the Konkan coast, Sindhudurg, Maharashtra.
Yes.
And hilltop sundials have been discovered in Sindhudurg and those areas. And carbon dating and photoluminescence survey and spectral, some initial work has been done by Deccan College of Archaeology. So they show heliocentric knowledge, and these petroglyphs, petra means rock, glyph means art, rock art on hill mounds. And they have the 12 months and the 2 equinoxes and the 2 solstices. I wish I could have shown you that, but if you type on the Google Sindhudurg sundial, you'll get it. And this is about 10,000 years old, which means what? It means about 10,000 years back, India had the idea of heliocentrism. That means the earth is going around the sun.
And
the sun is going around the galaxy, facing the galactic north. And that is the precision of the equinox.
True. I believe that I have seen it somewhere in the Bhimpetka, some signatures of that around the Bhimpetka caves as well, which are that's Harpreet, you have also received some question. Please carry on.
Sir. So you're absolutely right. Whatever scientists are doing today, our Vedas have already mentioned them, thousands and I don't know how many years back. You also mentioned, during your presentation that calendar is something that has entered the drawing rooms of people, common people, and these
Aam Janta.
Aam
Aam
Janta,
Janta,
yes, Aam Janta. And these days, literally we are carrying it with us all the time because they have entered our gadgets as well. Now, we often have this need of integrating a calendar with, other platforms like emails, text, and a routine work. How do you
Right.
see this dynamic, sir?
Yes, so this is a very important, ye jugopajagi, this is pertinent in the present time. So we need apps, and already apps are happening. In 2022 end, some of the people from Purdue, Princeton, others, they transferred the 2022 calendar. They took a permission from us, and then they had put it in the media, which was accessible in the Instagram, in the Facebook, in the phone apps. And they did it because today's students like them chupe Rustam hai na? They are like genius on computers and computer graphics and Adobe softwares and different kinds of platform. And today, aaj jo ho raha hai with the AI platform, you can actually make the calendar a dynamic reality, which is I think the future of Indian calendars. I think if I get one more chance next year with my students, I'll produce an AI-driven calendar.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, Professor Sen, this was my next question, which you have already answered. You guessed the pulse of this discussion. This is how we work in the telepathy. So the next is the shape, probably the form of calendars is changing, but I still feel that the printed calendars are still having and are going to have their own significance, though the numbers have decreased. अभी तो हम घर में एक कैलेंडर लगाते हैं, ऑफिस में एक ही कैलेंडर लगाते हैं. मुझे याद है जब बचपन में हम पूरे
सर बात क्या है, अब जितना भी डिजिटल कीजिए, एनालॉग वर्ल्ड का तो महत्व है ही ना.
महत्व उसको we can't
if a boy falls in love with a girl, can he fall in love digitally? Finally, he has to live in an analog world.
yes, so as the education is. Yes, so as the whole.
That's what education is. That's what Gurudev
yes.
Rabindranath said 100 years back.
Yes,
Finally, you have to take your students from the classroom under the tree.
Yes,
वो जो क्लास में जो आप इनिशियल डिस्कशन किया, वो पेड़ का नीचे फाइनल डिस्कशन होता है. Einstein used to take his class under a maple tree in Princeton University, and he used to discuss about bigger things of relativity.
Professor Sen, this is probably the point where people like me and you are struggling.
We are struggling, sir. We are struggling.
We are struggling. See, yes, I have also taken the classrooms of my students, first degree and second degree students in engineering and technology, in the museums, science centers, etc. So I asked Harpreet to ask the last question of today because we are now towards the end of this session. And then
Yes, sir.
wind it up.
So, sir, you just now mentioned that AI calendar is the new future. So, very quickly, I'll ask you two questions. What are 2 to 3 takeaway points from this entire discussion that we had today, and what would you like to forward us to the students, institutes and organizations, or even individuals who are now making calendars, and how do you see, sir, the future of calendar?
Yes. Yeah, very important. I think we'll close with the answers. So one thing is the content of the calendar. So research remains behind the calendar. वो calendar में क्या दिखाना है, and it cannot be complicated because it's like a tapestry. One of my batchmate in US said, Joy, आप जो calendar बनाए, it's like a tapestry. It's like weaving. It's tantuja. It's tantra. Like Gana Tantra, Raj Tantra. So ऐसा ही calendar का एक tantra. It's like making your mat or the bed sheet. So this is very important. The second thing is that the calendar should be in multiple forms, which we have already discussed. The analog form, the digital form, the phone savvy form, the desktop availability form. So it must go into the different kinds of things. But the third most and the final important thing is that the calendar should be futuristic. ये calendar बना के हम क्या चाहते हैं? What we want? Yeah. Is it just a dhamaka? Or is it a dhamaka which leads to some realization?
Yes.
Or is it a dhamaka which leads to some realization and it brings and makes a better human being, a better human student, a better human student with better empathy, care, love and respect, Shraddha. So the most important thing in education is to raise the Shraddha, the level of respect, the level of respect. And this is something which the calendar has to do in the future, because it goes right into the bedroom, the living room, the drawing room, the desktop, the tabletop, nothing else. Conference तो air conditioned Stein auditorium में होगा, ये उधर में होगा, but a calendar goes everywhere. So I end with this. Maybe one day NCERT will come with a analog and a digital museum of calendar making and content production of education. And if you are doing that, sir, I love to be a part of the team.
Sure, sir. This is takeaway for us. We will really look forward to collaborating with IITs and IIT Kharagpur in particular, and with Professor Joy Sen once again. Thank you very much, Professor Sen. Please stay with us for some time. Friends, now this was the today's session on developing a calendar. We have learned about developing a calendar. So now let us roll back to the next session. Now for the next session today, now we are again coming back to the science, and that we are going to discuss on 14th of February, Friday next week at the same time. And at that time we will be having V. Ravindran, my friend from the Institute of Mathematical Sciences, Chennai, Taramani, Chennai, and he will be speaking on origin of mass, कि द्रव्यमान की उत्पत्ति कैसे हुई, and we will be having a discussion from the Einstein's equation of equivalence, that E is equivalent to m delta mc square. So we will be having a very interesting general science discussion for the general layman by V. Ravindran. Please be with us. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Joy Sen, Dr. Gagan Gupta, for marking this date on the calendar for all the viewers to tell us about the calendar. Thank you so much for your contribution to the session. And now it's time for me to wrap up this wonderful session, 96th edition of our webinar series, Listening to Learn, where we talked about developing our calendar. With this, I'm closing the session over here, and in a short while from now, we will watch another program. So let's take a quick look at the schedule, what's all coming ahead. So this is the entire list of programs that you will watch through the day. We are just through with our session on developing a calendar. That is DESM session. In a short while from now, you will watch our session on mathematics under teaching learning interventions for inclusive classrooms. At 2 p.m, we will bring you a session on sciences, followed by a session in Urdu. 3 p.m. is the time for a session on mathematics, and 3:30 is the time for a session in sciences. Simultaneously, you can watch our Paricharcha session as well. 4 to 5 p.m. is the time for our online training program, and today we will be in day 5. We will tell you about the assessment and everything. At 5 o'clock, we will bring you our session Sahyog, followed by a session on school leadership development by NCSL NEPA. With this as a wrap, this is me, Harpreet Kaur, taking leave of you, and will join you soon. Namaskar.